Welcome back to the Bowie Showcase. In the studio, we have Stewart, Training Director of Toyota of Waldorf. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
The first step in the process of finding an authentic direction is taking responsibility. What does corporate responsibility mean to you, and how can you make a positive impact in the world?
Well, one of the things I seem to run into a lot these days are managers and employees that are what I call truly disengaged from whatever it is they're supposed to be doing. So I think that in order to get rid of that disengagement, people should pursue their passion. They should find something that that is going to enrich their lives, and you got to combine not just your business skills but your personal life, and it should all fall into alignment, just like the planets. I think everything has to be lined up just perfectly, and pursuing your passion is probably the best way to describe it.
So can you tell us what some of the job titles are and explain their meaning?
Well, my primary position at the company is the training director. And as the training director, I do all of the training, so anyone that approaches any of our customers has spent a great deal of time with me. So we have the training director position. I'm also a master certified sales manager, a master certified customer relations manager, a Scion sales manager, and a certified VDQ manager.
Wow, that's really cool. So could you describe some of your responsibilities?
My responsibilities are varied. I mean, I'm all over the place because I also act as an interdepartmental liaison between all of the departments. Some of the things I do, aside from training, would include things like making sure that our customers are taken care of as a customer relations manager. But I also develop policies and procedures. So that means that I'm working with maybe someone from the sales department, trying to get a process through that impacts both parts and service. So I spend a lot of time just working with people, customers, calling customers, making sure they're well taken care of and satisfied, and making sure our customer service scores are in the green, which is excellent according to headquarters.
Sounds like an awesome job. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Ms. Stewart, the Training Director at Toyota of Waldorf, after these messages.
I thought indoor tanning was safe.
They said their tanning rays were less likely to cause a sunburn.
What you need to know is UV light from indoor tanning
Can cause premature aging.
And even worse, UV light can increase your risk of skin cancer,
including melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer.
In fact, current estimates are that 1 in 5 Americans develop skin cancer.
And 1 person dies from melanoma about every hour.
I don't want to be one of them.
This message brought to you by the American Academy of Dermatology.
Now, when I'm training a sales consultant, I have to take a lot of things into consideration. Some people have gone through life and know absolutely nothing about cars, like I was when I first got into automobile sales. Some people know a whole lot about cars. Some individuals have sold at other dealerships, and, you know, maybe another brand. So what I have to do is I have to figure out the right technique to get our message across on how we like for our salespeople to perform here. So I have a lot of tools that I use. Behind me, you'll see a large screen where I'll show some videos to the individuals. Usually I'll have 6 or 8 or 10 people in here. I use a lot of tools such as the consumer reports, which our vehicles fare very high with. I use all types of things that are made by our own product makers. We have our roadmap to loyalty, our leasing classes. I subscribe to all types of automobile magazines. We have off-site classes where we go and learn about the products and things ourselves. We do, for our certified used vehicles, that's a specialized training that also goes along with the video. Then we have other magazines, product knowledge information, truck essentials, because our new pickup truck has become a major player in the truck world. As far as product knowledge, every consultant here needs to go through a certain amount of product training. We have 18 models of vehicles that fall under the Toyota line. Then we have 3 that fall under Scion. So there's a lot of information you have to know on each vehicle. That includes the features that each vehicle has, what are the functions of those features, and how does that benefit the consumer. So you have to be able to take an individual and mold them into a professional sales consultant, which means I have to work with all of their personalities, teach them how to adapt those personalities to the consumer that's sitting in front of them, and show them in a myriad of ways how to get that information across to the consumer. Because our vehicles, they do sell themselves, but we still have a lot of technology and all of the latest technology where an individual that hasn't purchased a car in 5 or 6 years may not be familiar with certain technologies like the wireless hands-free phone calling, navigation systems, heated and ventilated seats. It's so much technology in these vehicles, it's just amazing. I typically will call all of the individuals that bought vehicles from us and just find out 2 or 3 weeks after they've driven the car for a little while, how are they getting along with their car. I'll get them scheduled to come back in, talk with either me or their sales consultant, and get them familiarized with some of the functions maybe they haven't been using.
Welcome back. So, Ms. Stewart, do you enjoy the daily activities that are associated with your work?
Absolutely. The stuff that I do is exciting, it's satisfying. I get to do so many things and spread myself across so many departments and all, that every day is a new day. You never know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm. So do you see yourself enjoying this in the long run as well?
Yeah, and mostly because it is so multifaceted. The variety of obstacles and things that I have to overcome each day, just exciting. Some days it's a little trying, and Monday mornings are especially tough because you got all the weekend problems waiting for me on Monday morning. But overall, I like to step up and meet the challenge.
So is there like a set routine, or is there just new ways to do things and new things that come to you like every day?
Well, some of the things that I do are routine because I'm responsible for the certification of everyone in every department. So that includes our body shop, finance, service department, parts department, sales, and our Scion department. That's the routine part of my day. So just tracking their certifications, making sure everyone stays on point with that and nobody falls too far behind, because the dealership could lose awards and other benefits if we're not certified. Now, the other half of my day could be totally crazy. I never know who's going to approach me. Again, I mentioned earlier, if one department is having a problem with a process and it affects another department, then, a lot of times I'm just jumping in and just getting everybody to calm down and just tell me what's going on.
Right. So it's a little bit unpredictable?
Absolutely. Extremely.
So, like, how much responsibility would you say that you have in your job?
Well, I actually have more responsibility than I actually like to display. I report directly to the general manager. She reports to the owner. If that gives you an idea of where I stand in the hierarchy of things. But I like to pretend that I'm one of the salespeople or one of the service writers because I have to walk in their shoes. I have sat in many of the positions for either a week or some other prolonged amount of time. I sat on the sales manager's desk for an entire summer last year. So I spent 4 months desking deals. So I like the variety. That's
cool. So how closely are you supervised at your job?
Not nearly enough. When I see my general manager, if she sees a look on my face, she knows it's time to spend some time with me, that she's been away from me too long. But normally, they don't tell me what to do or what I need to do. A few times a week, she'll ask for a report or ask me if I could help out with something. So I remember one day when I first started in the position, and I said, well, what are my hours? She said, I'll tell you if you're not working enough.
Oh, wow. So how often do you work with others on the job?
Mostly every day. I usually don't have a day when I'm alone. When the buying cycle gets busy in the sales department, I don't see them so often, like at the beginning or the end of the month, because they're trying to hit certain numbers. And usually service is quite busy. So every day I have 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 people in the development center that are working with me on either educating themselves, continuing their career, or trying to finish their certification requirements.
Okay, so what kind of advice would you give for young people that are trying to prepare for this type of work?
Well, you can't be shy. And you have to be extremely patient. You gotta definitely have some public speaking. I do recommend Junior Toastmasters and Toastmasters, which I was a member of. Be able to give a spontaneous speech, sort of like what I'm doing now with you. You got to have some sort of teaching background. I don't know if you need a teaching degree. I don't have a teaching degree, but it requires patience, because sometimes I train an individual who may be good at talking and speaking and customer service things, but maybe has never touched a computer in their entire lives. So I have to start from scratch. I have to teach them like they're a 2 or a 3-year-old first time on the computer.
Okay, so how much schooling would you suggest for someone that's trying to go into this work?
I definitely think that you know, all young people should at least get a minimum requirement of a bachelor's degree. That way you'll be taken more serious. Now, I'm a little older than you, and you know, a lot of times with people like me, years of experience can calculate or equate into a degree or degrees. So I think with the educational system being so challenging, with so many young people coming out with bachelor's degrees, the world is inundated with young, intelligent people with degrees. So I would definitely recommend a degree.
Okay, so how does this job compare to other things that you've done, or other careers that you've, you know, been a part of? Well,
I was an IT manager and dropped lines and installed local area networks in the 90s. And then I got married, had my daughter, and I spent 10 years at home raising her. So that entire 10 years, I'm teaching. You know, I became her teacher and her tutor, and when we went to see specialists for either violin or piano or whatever, I had to learn the same parts as she learned, so that those 6 days in between us going back to those once-a-week appointments, I had to teach her. So I've done many things. I've done television, I've done radio. I worked at Hickory Farms of Ohio once, where we had 128 cheeses, you know.
Wow.
So I've done quite a few things.
So how important is, like, security in your job?
Job security is very important to me. I try to make myself invaluable. I don't like being dispensable. So having that many titles and that many responsibilities would intimidate someone else. But me, I'm, you know, trying to be unbreakable. I like the fact that I'm needed, and when my general manager is not in the building, she can count on me to make sure certain things get done.
So are you satisfied with the typical pay that this career offers?
Well, everybody always wants more. But I'm not going to say I'm underpaid. But maybe in the advice I was giving to a young person, if they pursue this and they go into it with the right credentials, you know, maybe they have a greater opportunity to earn even more. There are training directors that are needed in companies that can afford to pay more. I work for an independently owned franchise, you know, small kind of dealership on the scale of things, and so I think that I'm fairly well paid for what I do.
That's great. So would you consider this a stepping stone to another career, or like could someone just jump into it, you know, with enough experience?
I think that the right person, you know, again, if the stars are all aligned properly, I think that the right person could jump into it and do it. Now, as far as stepping stones, you know, I stepped from one stone to another, starting, I applied for an internet position. The general manager at that particular dealership pulled me in his office and you know, basically convinced me that I could sell cars, which I found ridiculous. But obviously he saw something in me that I didn't know about. So I started off wanting internet, the department, then ended up in sales. 3 months from the day I started, not knowing anything about vehicles, I was #1 salesperson of the month. Wow. in a field of 28 men. With no training at that time. Wow. So I kind of knew what a new salesperson would need as far as training. I moved from the sales position into the training director position, and I'm wearing quite a few hats now. And my goal is to become a motivational speaker. Now, I think I'm going to need a little bit more training, you know, as far as body language and movement and posturing to make the audience feel good. So I'm going to probably need some specialized courses, but I also need to work on my you know.
Don't we all? So how exactly did you get into this business?
Again, stumbled into it. Went and applied for an internet position because I saw a group of guys. Actually, the producer of this show and me, we were out after a movie. We saw a group of guys just really enjoying themselves at Applebee's. And we were like, what do you know, where do you guys work? You know, because they all work together and they were having such a good time. I wanted to work someplace where I could laugh and have fun and have the freedom to move about, not just sitting in a cubicle. You know, you can be inside, you can be outside. You might work with one person, you might work with 20 people. So I like the general idea of that. Certification, again, is so important to our dealership because that brings more trust to the customer. They feel a little bit more like, a little bit more trusting because our fellas in the body department have gone through extensive training in paint techniques and body techniques and all of that. So what I want you to do is just follow me inside. Remember when I told you that my particular dealership likes to reinvest in its people? Well, we own another piece of property where right now we're in the body shop behind the scenes, and we are going to be building a state-of-the-art body shop, maybe 5 minutes from our main building that we're in now, and then this entire area will become part of the showroom and part of our service center. So we got some expansion plans. Part of my training program here at my dealership is, a lot of it is being able to adapt to your customer's needs. So if there were you had a customer that had recently been involved in an accident, a lot of times they are very timid and still a little bit nervous from their accident. If they didn't already own one of our products, I do like for our consultants to bring the customer over to the body shop, show them some of these vehicles that have been in some pretty serious accidents so that they can see that the body structure of our vehicles is designed to crumple and absorb the impact of the collision. And then you'll notice that on the interior of the vehicles, the integrity of the interior of the vehicle is entirely intact most times. The airbags have not been deployed. The actual consumer has been kept completely safe. So that is all part of how I do my training here at my particular dealership. Now there's an edge to selling vehicles that I like to call it psychological selling. Now a female has a disadvantage when it comes to selling in most regards. One of the things about being female and being in the automobile industry is women are not accustomed to hearing no all day long. Now, that might sound a little strange. We're usually the ones that are saying no all day long. So to hear no on a constant basis is one of those things that can kind of affect you mentally, and it can be a little depressing. So one of the things I tell my female trainees is to get accustomed to hearing no, but learn how to overcome the objectives. Why is the customer saying no? Find out what it is. Find out what it is that is turning that individual off. Is it because you didn't have the product knowledge to explain the features, functions, and benefits so that they would want to purchase that vehicle? Or is it simply because they just can't afford that vehicle that day? This information actually applies to men as well, but with women, with us, like I said, not always being comfortable with hearing no, more comfortable with saying no, we have to delve a little deeper. We have to train a little harder, and we have to get accustomed to what we call drilling down and getting to the root cause of why a customer is saying no. Now, as far as product knowledge goes, when I first got into the business, I knew 3 or 4 things about a car. I knew how to keep my car clean. I knew that when it was on E, I needed to put some gas in it. I knew that that little sticker on the window said, okay, it's time to get your oil changed. And really, under the hood, the only thing I knew was how to refill my windshield washer fluid. So to come from that and the past, I think I've been in the business now since 2002, so it's 6 years. So to be able to explain something like the STAR safety system, which is a braking and traction system, it includes traction control, automatic brake distribution, vehicle stability control, electronic brake force distribution, anti-lock braking system, to be able to explain that to a trainee or even further still a customer and break it down and make sure they have a complete understanding of what they're getting, what's under the hood, what's variable valve timing with intelligence and crumple zones and tailored blanks. All of these types of things are technologies that I never knew anything about, never understood, extremely comfortable with. And my position allows me to do something that I love. It allows me to get this information across to people. Now, and I do understand that not everybody learns in the same manner. That's why I do some upfront, face-to-face conversations with my trainees. Other times I'll run a video on the large screen. I have my prompts, such as my easel and my pad. We have the workstations where they can do one-on-one online training. They can move at their own pace. They can pass their quizzes and courses online, individually, get to their certification levels. And once you reach your new and used car certification levels, we don't make you stop there. If you'd like to do more, you may. Like most recently, I had a little downtime, which was a very rare thing for me. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to know a little bit more about what's going on under the hood of my car when I bring my car in for service. And yes, I did purchase a car from my own dealership, and I do service it here. So when they're under my hood, what are they doing? What's going on with my transmission fluid? Why do some vehicles have a sealed transmission? Well, you know, what is 100,000 mile extra long life fluid? Why are the cars only serviced every 5,000 miles here now instead of every 3,000? I'm curious myself. So every opportunity I get to advance my knowledge, I do that as well, because I not only train the salespeople, I also take customer service calls when a customer has an issue. If the primary customer service person is not here, then it falls on me. So when they're talking to me, I need to be able to understand what they're saying. If it's a service-related issue, I need to be able to understand if a customer came in for an oil change and they had their cabin air filter changed, and they get in their car and they realize that the contents of their glove box has been disturbed. That's kind of a weird feeling for a customer to have, because they don't know that in order to change the cabin air filter, we have to go in the inside of the car, remove the glove box, and the filter is directly behind there. I need to know these things so that I can explain to a customer why we were inside their car and why maybe some items got a little scrambled in their glove box. You know, I don't want them to think that we've just been in there snooping around. That's not what we do. Our dealership is fully wired, inside and out with cameras, and we're always happy to show a customer anytime they feel uncomfortable or they are unsatisfied with something. We're always willing to work with them and through their issues. Now, when I'm doing my training, part of the training for a sales consultant is to do a service walk. So they have to walk the customers through the service lane, show them, you know, the cleanliness of our dealership, make the customer aware of all of the programs that we have, like our rental car department, the fact that we have this nice customer lounge with the large screen TV, always beneficial to show them the ATM machine over in the corner. And we do supply our customers with coffee. Now, if you remember earlier, I spoke about how the owner of this particular dealership does like to reinvest into its employees and how careful they are about our work environments. We're in the technicians area where they service the vehicles. Our floor is polished every night. Our technicians are allowed to come in here every day and spill fresh oil on a freshly polished floor, and we are very cognizant of the fact that customers do not want their cars getting dirty on the interior. So you'll not see any grease or oil splashed around on any of the lifts or anything, because those are the kinds of things that will make a customer either return or not return to your dealership. And we really do count on our customers coming back. We have customers that have bought 7 cars, or their families have purchased 14 cars from our dealership. So return business is super, super important to us.
That's really amazing. Thank you so much for coming in today. And thank you for giving us your knowledge. It helps us choose careers in the future for all the young youth out there.
You're welcome.
So we wish you a lot of success in your career.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And thank you for joining us today. I hope this edition of Career Profiles was informative for you and your future successes. I'm Kiah Victoria, and I hope to see you next time at the Bowie Youth Showcase.
You promised me the world. Is this what you had in mind?
Every choice we make has a consequence. Help EarthShare and its members restore balance to the world. Visit earthshare.org and see what you can do. EarthShare, one environment, one simple way to care for it.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Ross!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Low-fat cheese sandwiches on whole wheat bread. Chewy and good for you. Snacks high in calcium help build strong bones. And foods rich in fiber are good for your heart. So you have the power to dominate. Can your food do that? Run, throw, think, eat better. Find out more at smallstep.gov.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown. As a parent, my children bring me the most pride and joy. Today, thousands of children in Maryland are living in foster homes or waiting for adoption. As an adoptive parent, I ask you to consider opening your home and your heart by becoming a foster parent or by adopting a child. Imagine the difference that you can make. For more information, call the Prince George's Department of Social Services at 301-909-2273.